So who are the people joining? So from people who are going to zoom in from...
yeah, it's students from all over India, at different campuses, students, mostly third years.
And some potential students?
No, not now.
No.
Not here.
Okay.
Here is only our student. And of course, in Facebook, anyone can join. Facebook and YouTube, it's our anybody. We have got about 3 million people in the Facebook. So a lot of people join.
Live now, sir.
Right. All right. So good afternoon, everybody. And I'm Ritu Jolly. And with me is Dr. Suborno Bose. And we are coming to you live from the IIHM Kolkata studio. We have a very special guest with us this evening. We have Mr. Manish Gupta, a very seasoned hotelier with over 23 years of experience, with a very strong passion for food and wine. And he joins us here today. Mr. Gupta is the Area Director East and the General Manager of Taj Bengal, Kolkata. He, in fact, began his career with the Taj from the iconic Taj Mahal Hotel, New Delhi. And then he has been with the Taj and held some very important portfolios. He is very well known as a hotelier to start new projects and initiate various quality measures. Thank you for joining us today.
Pleasure. Thank you, Ritu, for such a nice introduction. It's always a pleasure to join the IIHM team and the students. So very, very nice to be here.
Very good afternoon and welcome, Mr. Gupta. Our students are all eagerly looking forward, and so are our educators, the faculty, to pick up your brain. And we have got some of the best hospitality minds talking to us over the last couple of weeks and next weeks, and we are so delighted to have you with us today. So obviously, we all are going through very challenging times, but again, on the positive side, I think things are looking up. And obviously, there's some great news yesterday from Oxford University about a vaccine, and some great news from Taj about Sea Rock Hotel acquisition. And obviously, Taj was one hotel company, Indian Hotel, IHCL, which was doing so incredibly well till the March. I think the profitability, the revenues grown, number of times. And under the able leadership of Mr. Chatwal, things were really looking poised for a huge growth. And of course, the pandemic has come after that. So things has slowed down for all of us. As educators, of course, we always put our students first. Been for last 27 years, the philosophy of IIHM is to put the student first. And now with these changes happening in the hospitality industry, the new world, as we say, coming in, of course, people are talking about hygiene being the new luxury, and things are changing in terms of the customer engagement, in terms of the SOPs. How do you really look at an institution like ours to train and educate our student who will be passing out, let's say, next year from our different campuses all over the country and abroad, to cope up with this new system, the new hospitality management, if you like in Taj and other hotels. So what are the things which you will look at while hiring the new management trainees or the new hires for your hotel? And that's how we will be training and educating them to come and get in sync with the industry expectations.
Thank you, Dr. Bose. Thank you for calling me once again, inviting me over again. It's part of being very nice to be, addressing the IIHM community once again. You are absolutely right. The whole world has changed upside down because of this extraordinary pandemic. And in the management terms, they call it a black swan event. It's a rare kind of event which happens in a very, very rare number of years, and which changes the dynamics of the world in every aspect completely. So this is one of those events, and these kind of events actually change the way we think, the way we work, the way we do our businesses, the way we do or live our everyday life upside down. It changes 100%. It's a 360-degree, or I may say 720 degrees, turn in the way we operate in every aspect of life. Now, obviously, the tourism industry or the hospitality industry is the one which gets impacted the first and which recovers the last when all these kind of mega disruption happens. So we need to be positive. We need to be learning. That's the only thing we can do right now. Now, the good news is, as you said, from various institutions, particularly this Oxford thing, and there are so many other players who are saying, that the vaccine is just around the corner. We hope so. We are really, really hoping for it, that it happens very soon. And the normalcy in some aspect returns back to our world. Now, having said all that, even if the normalcy returns back, and whenever it returns back, maybe 3 months from now or 6 months from now, or maybe, let's say, maybe 9 months from now, it is definite that the overall impact on the industry would be there to stay. It is going to be there very, very closely on the way we work. And as you rightly said, the importance of hygiene and importance of sanitation and safety in that aspect is never going to be higher than what it is right now or what it would be in the next few years to come. So from your institutes or the new colleges' perspectives, or the way, I think what we need to tell our students who are going to be passing out maybe next year or subsequently in the next 2-3 years, there would be a huge amount of expectations for people to know that what are the new things which are acceptable, which are not acceptable. So a lot of these things which used to be happening in some rare circumstances are going to be normal now. So I think your curriculums or the way you do your trainings has to be tweaked in that manner that the students are mentally and physically very well prepared to join the hotels with that kind of a new skill and new learnings. So I think that will play the most vital role going forward.
Mr. Gupta, one of the things that a lot of the hospitality leaders are talking is about multi-skilling, because possibly the next generation of the hoteliers and the young hoteliers, would be the guys who are not really so sacrosanctly specialized as in the past, like I am in the front office, I am in the food and beverage, and rather they are much more open to work anywhere, everywhere, any time of the day, because that's possibly it's like an all-rounder as in cricket, So what is your take on that, Mr. Gupta?
You're absolutely right, Dr. Bose. See, as I said, the industry would need to change itself. So how would it change itself? It would change itself in redefining the brand standards, what the companies have, hotels have, or hotel chains have, to adapt it as per the reality and as per the customer's expectations. Now, a lot of things which were usual, which were expected earlier, a lot of things, those things will just go out of the window. They are no more required. And in the next coming...
So talking about that, before that, let me once again say to the people who have just joined now, we are talking with Mr. Manish Gupta, who is the area director of the TAJ group in the East and also general manager of the TAJ Bengal. And you are listening to Mr. Manish Gupta in Facebook page and the YouTube page of the IIHM International Institute of Hotel Management. Mr. Gupta, technology has now taken a different avatar, if you like. It has reached the drawing rooms and the bedrooms of people. Obviously, it was always there, but possibly no incident in the universe have pushed technology so much into our daily life as this pandemic has. Very fact, right now we are talking over a platform, and you are from one part of the city, and there are people in this who are from different parts of the country or the world. And technology in our industry is also going to play a very vital role, whether it's about the QR code, about the contactless. So how do your existing employees and of course the new employees, the new hire will adopt to it? And what's your take on that role of technology now as a new norm after we reopen our properties properly once the pandemic goes over?
No, see, so I think you have actually hit the nail on its head. The earlier, if I compare, we used to say that the game of the hospitality industry is all about personalization and personal touch and personal contact. But here are we now, how the industry has completely changed. So what people would expect would be the personal touch for sure.
Yes.
But without the personal touch in the literal sense. So you would not be, coming in close contact with somebody, but you would still expect a very efficient, very personalized and very, very efficient system, which is going to be, serving you when you enter a luxury hotel. So how will that be done? That can only be done by having the technology in the right areas. So people know that the anticipatory service is still on. So you have all the preferences of somebody who's coming in already done. The person comes here, whichever way the technology works. So I think this is something which will go and further go into much more areas. So it's not going to be only check-in, check-out. It is going to be involved more in restaurants. It will be in the bars. So you will see in a lot of city bars, you may not see a bartender, measuring a 30 ml or a 60 ml and giving it. You may have those auto pourers or dispensers where you push the button and you get a 30 ml of so-and-so branded whiskey, or, you press a button and it throws one glass of so-and-so beer. So I think all those things are bound to happen. They were always available, but this whole scenario is going to speed up that process, that this technology adaptation by the hotels or hospitality industry is going to be really, really, gathering momentum and speed. So I completely agree with that.
Yes, that was excellent. And so we are talking about maybe also kitchen robots and things like that, possibly. Lot of new innovation will come. As a company, I'm sure Taj is also gearing up to do a lot of technology influence changes in your major hotels, right? Like things like you are saying RFID and this thing. So what is the kind of vision of the hotel of your hotel, your group of hotel Taj?
See, as I said, we want to retain the personalization, but at the same time, we will adopt the technology wherever required and wherever it helps the customer or the guest to have more efficient and more safe journey, into our hotels. So by adopting technology, all these things what we just mentioned, most of it is already implemented, and a few more things where it is going to be auto check-in and check-out based on the phones, and the phone's going to be directly talking to the doors or the door locks in the rooms and to your television, to your bells. All that thing is also now being integrated, and very soon we will also be launching that in near future. Now, you just mentioned about kitchen robots, so that reminds me. You know what? We in hospitality may not go to those extremes as yet, because we are still very highly dependent on a lot of people and manpower. But at the same time, it's not only by getting robots or some robotic things to do, but we have to also think a little differently. So just to give an example, like in our hotels, we are also thinking about changing the way we procure materials. So we are in the process of identifying areas where we may not be buying a full chicken, for example, and then going into a butchery, and then they're doing the cuts, and then going into another area, and then they're making chicken tikkas out of it, and there is somebody else who's going to be marinating it. So the whole process, whether it is chicken or some vegetables or some other stuff, whatever we can get which is already pre-cut, pre-prepared in the soft form and can be directly procured and be sent into the kitchen, saving us all that cycle of ordering, receiving, storing, and then making it ready before it really comes for cooking. So all those 4 or 5 steps, we are looking at ways to reduce those 5 or 6 steps so that we can really do a lot of time and resources saving. So this is another aspect of technology, and how are we going to improvise on the way we're going to work in future.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to Mr. Manish Gupta, Area Director, Taj Group of Hotel East and General Manager, Taj Bengal. And that was an excellent response, Mr. Gupta. My next question is about the students. Obviously, there would be a lot of students who are expecting to be getting their placement this year, and of course, this is a difficult year, and it may be further delayed because we don't know how long really it will take for us to get out of this pandemic. So, if you can have a little bit of message for them, what they should do and how they should really train themselves, or get themselves new skill, or whatever you want. Any message from you to the students who are graduating in 2020 and possibly sitting on a couple of appointment letters?
No, as you rightly said, of course, it's going to be a difficult year. But, at the same time, I want my message to all these young boys and girls, all these young students is, all these crisis time periods are only indicative that you need to reskill and you need to maybe change your track a little bit and utilize this time to prepare better. It is never going to be like that. Nothing is permanent. Even these challenging times would not be permanent. They're not going to be here for forever. So this is just one phase in everybody's life, and which will pass. But they must utilize this time, as I said, to reskill, to stop and take reassess their whatever direction they've been going, and see in what way they can adapt the new ways of learning, so that when the situation gets better, they are the first choices by all the leading hospitality chains. And so there's going to be a huge churn happening the moment the situation starts improving in maybe next 6 months or so. A lot of hospitality chains would be looking at rehiring. They may be looking at launching new projects, which are a lot of hotels which are now delayed because of the situation would launch by the end of this year. Who are supposedly launch in March or April is on now are likely to be launched by December or January. So all the data, all the statistics about the tourism or hospitality in this country, is still remains, the hospitality dream remains intact. I don't see that disappearing or the very gloomy picture. I think it's a little postponement of everything, definitely, but it's going to happen. So that's what I can assure everybody.
I think that's been very inspiring and very encouraging. And I think I fully agree with you, because hospitality is one thing that is not going to leave any one of us, because people have to travel, people have to do business, people have to go to holidays, people have to go for dining out, and people have to go to casinos and gaming and beaches and everywhere else. And that is what our life is all about. Pandemic, as you said, is not permanent. It's maybe a matter of another 5 months, 3 months, 4 months. We never know. But it is certainly going to come to an end. And the normal life will resume. And hospitality will resume. And I think in a few months from now, we will see again the business travelers traveling in and traveling out. Hotels again booming with 100% occupancy. And of course, property group like Taj, I'm sure you are looking at a lot of new acquisition. And it is not stopping a group like Taj from acquisition, as we have seen only day before yesterday, when Taj have acquired the very iconic Sea Rock Hotel in the Juhu in Mumbai. So it is not really stopping them from going for expansion. I'm sure there are other expansion which are happening for Taj, and of course the other brands. I'm sure there would be hospitality coming back, tourism coming back in big way. and all of us would be again back in business full time. So that was excellent, Mr. Gupta. My next question is now, as you possibly know, that we have launched in IIHM an absolutely youth-centric, student-centric entrepreneurship program called Sahas. Sahas means courage. And this is one of our dream project because there are a lot of students who are trying to get into business, but in a way, by default, they always went to a job because they got into placement and then they saw, okay, let's get into a job. So I think the industry lost hundreds of brilliant potential entrepreneurs in the past because they got into that job prison, if I say, or a job cage, and they got into the comfort zone. But now with the pandemic, there are a lot of people across our 8 campuses who are actually very excited to come for entrepreneurship. And so it is one of the major subjects in the year 3 now, just like food and beverage or rooms division or culinary. Entrepreneurship is now become one of the major. So you can take entrepreneurship and study for the 1 full year on entrepreneurship. And I think this is one opportunity where we can really excite them much more than ever before. Mr. Gupta, I'd like to ask for your take on that.
I think this is a very, very path-breaking, brilliant initiative. I must congratulate you, Dr. Bose, and IIHM to think in those lines. I think if I know a little bit, all the major startups, all these big unicorns, what we call them, the $1 billion plus turnover companies, most of them have started in a garage.
Yes.
Right? Where you take a Facebook or you take a Google, and now if you talk about an Amazon,
yes.
They all have been started in a garage in some way.
Or a Swiggy, for example.
Or a Swiggy, yeah. So I think the whole idea of allowing these entrepreneurs or the ideas in people to think about doing their own ventures needs a lot of planning, a lot of mentoring. So it is, for every one Facebook which is a successful one, probably there is 1 billion startups which didn't take off, right? So, but those were the statistics maybe 25 years back. Today, I am sure that statistics is not going to be holding true. For every new startup which is successful, there would be quite a few which were semi-successful, which may not be doing a $1 billion turnover or a market cap, but they still would be good enough, big enough to be successful in their own way. So it is not going to be, two extremes of a hugely successful to nothing. So provided all these young budding people are encouraged, they need to be, hand-holded, they need to be shown the path. And this is in the coming times in India. I think this is going to be the order of the day, and particularly in hospitality, which is again so unique. The personality of the owner of a restaurant or the chef of a restaurant, who's probably a chef cum owner, is visible in the way. It's not, of course, it is in the food, but even the way you welcome guests, in the way the menu is written, in the way the lighting is done, in the way the whole music is being played. So everything revolves around 1 or 2 people who want to be entrepreneurs, provided they have that confidence and the guidance to carry it forward. So I think this is a brilliant initiative. I don't think there are any parallels to this kind of an initiative yet. So I really congratulate. I think this is going to be hugely successful.
Thank you so much. And also to add on, we have actually earmarked seed funding of 5 crore from our own coffers to give the student up to 2 lakhs to 5 lakhs so that the initial seed funding do not become an obstacle for the projects which have got a lot of potential. Obviously, it's not going to be charity or a loan, because we really want to make sure that it's the kind of participation in equity or a soft loan, and so that he can get that money to start off in case that's a problem. So that dream
That's a
can
superb initiative. I mean, this is even better. So you're not only doing the talking, you're really backing it up with a lot of action and a lot of money. So that's great, Dr.
Yeah. as they say, show me the cash man in USA, because that talking anybody can do, but actually is a cash sometimes becomes a real problem. And I'm sure that is going to be a good venture, and we need real support and blessing from industry stalwarts like you. That was excellent, and I would like to get back to Ritu, and I'm sure a couple of my directors actually got a couple of questions for you, Mr. Gupta. So yes, any of the directors would like to ask a question?
I've got one question for Mr. Gupta.
Yes, Abdullah, carry on.
Thank you, Mr. Gupta, for sharing the lovely insight you gave. And I think one thing that intrigued me, just out of inquisitiveness, you talked about the purchase, basically, cutting out the cycle of all the way from ordering to purchase, and then it goes to the restaurant. So is it, the infusion of technology we are talking, or are we seeing, entrepreneurship of a new kind where the purchase departments now will be a third-party entities taking, just helping the hotel in operations? I mean, where exactly the industry is heading is my question out of inquisitiveness.
No, great question, Abdullah. See, it's both. It's also infusion of technology, and it's also infusion of ways and means to cut short the whole cycle, where you need more steps and more people and more storage space, and cut down on those resources which are being deployed by the hotel. So if you don't do all that, like just to give you an example, if there is a banqueting happening in a hotel of, let's say, 1,000 people, 1 week before, most of half of the kitchen at least would be only doing the mise en place for that banquet function, which is happening 1 week later.
Correct.
Right? So right from the purchase, hundreds of kgs of stuff is being ordered. It is procured, times and money spent and the resources spent on checking those items. Then they are checked and then they're sent to the stores. In cold stores, imagine huge storage facilities, burning electricity to chill them and to keep them at a particular temperature. Then, 4 or 5 days before, it's issued by the particular commissary or butchery or whichever area, and then they start another 20 or 15 chefs will start cutting them and chopping them and start preparing all that. We call it pre-preparation. So all that will happen. They'll take 2 or 3 days. Then they will probably do marinations. They will do whichever shape they need to put all that stuff in. And then, 1 day before, it will probably reach the main kitchen, wherever the banquet kitchen is. And then the actual preparation will start happening. Now, imagine this versus a scenario where the chef would have ordered the chopped onions, that many kg, chicken tikka size, chicken, or in that way, that many kgs, or, so-and-so vegetable and the paste of ginger garlic, that many kgs, so many things of cream and something in that many kgs, and everything arrives at the chef's door at the hotel 1 day before the function. It is received, it's taken directly to the kitchen and the preparation done. You imagine, of course, this also means that some pre-work must have happened somewhere else. It's happening, it has to happen somewhere, right?
Absolutely.
So it's not happening in the hotel, so it's happening at somewhere else. And that is where your thing on entrepreneurship, or building some kind of a package initiative and all those kind of places come in. So this is already happening all over the world, in the developed world. It is also now reaching our stores in various retail stores, what you see. So people for their homes have started buying it. They started doing it, but it is still to reach our hotels and our institutions where we're doing caterings and all that. But I think in the next few years to come, this is the way we will be operating. And I don't see any reason why any large hotel, and I won't say large, I will say even a medium or any hotel which is more than one restaurant or more than 50, 70 rooms would be going and taking that model. So this is what I meant, just to add on to that.
No, absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Gupta. I am so happy I connect this with Sahas initiative and giving some ideas to our students about the future that lies ahead, like dark kitchens, possibly like dark stores, or possibly the dark mise en place areas, or whatever you call it. So I think it's some form to think about, and I think for our students to explore. Thank you. That was
on a lighter note, those days where people used to complain that my industrial trainees do only chopping of onions, those days probably would not be there anymore.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
No, that's excellent. Any of the directors would like to ask? Or
Yes,
I have a question.
Okay. All right. Can I,
Mrs. Bose want to ask something?
Okay, Mrs. Bose. Yes.
I think Chef Kak wanted to ask something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good evening, Mr. Gupta. It was absolute pleasure listening to you. And I just wanted to add, for a very long time where all this work was being done, and then suddenly all that was scrapped. I think we'll have to learn again. So my question was, looking at what happened, what has happened post the situation post COVID. Do you think on the learning front, do we need to are the hotels or Taj itself some specific certificate organization towards some new certifications which can be our course material or academics as of
Yes.
now?
Very, very, very well. Some of it has already happened. So, for example, we have just adopted the new HACCUP model. So that model is just been adopted just about a month back, which is very, very stringent in comparison to the previous one. So this is one which has just been done, but I'm sure there are many. So this is related to the hygiene and sanitation about food and the food handling areas. But we are working on few more things which are related to, for example, the way without carpets.
Yes.
Not to my knowledge. See, this is too early to say on these things, because at this moment, I think a lot of hotels, I don't think would be really looking at renovations or, doing the whole designs and everything else. But as I said in answer to the previous question, a lot of these norms which are related to environment. Now, carpet has its own issues and its own advantages, depending on the climate of a particular, city or the country. A carpet is maybe very useful in a city, in a city like Berlin, but it may not be useful in a place like Jodhpur. So it all depends. And so all these norms, as I said, whether they would be really advisable or they would be not advisable, they would be completely no from the implementation perspective. All those things from hygiene and the kind of air we breathe in, all those things I think would take some more time to come in a formal manner for us to take a call.
Yes, Sanchari, you had a question.
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Bose and Mr. Gupta. Thank you so much. It's a very, very delightful and great learning that we are all having. I'm Sanchari from Bangalore campus, and I would like to basically ask you about the new changes in the SOPs that the Taj Group is having currently that will help us go ahead and groom our students better for the campus placements tomorrow.
Yes, no, thank you. I think, see, some of the SOPs which are related to immediately, which are related to COVID situation have already been implemented. These SOPs include the check-in, check-outs, or the restaurant norms, and some of these SOPs are also, are done in view of the protocol by WHO and the directions by the governments, right? So these norms and these directions may not hold good 3 months or 6 months from now. So we have to continuously keep adapting and changing these SOPs and these protocols as and when the situation evolves. So for example, when the pandemic started, what was all right, in May is no longer valid. Today a lot of things are allowed, where in May we used to feel that no, this is not allowed. So I think we are still in very, very fluid and evolving situation. Let the whole thing go by. I think and it's good actually in a way that things are changing so that we are able to adapt to it. So I think once the whole thing subsides and officially it is announced by WHO and by the government that the pandemic is officially ended, then only I think we come back to some kind of SOP which maybe institutes can adapt or adopt.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gupta.
Sir, I have a question, sir.
Yes, please.
Yes, Debashish Ghosh.
Good evening, sir. Good evening to Mr. Gupta. It was wonderful hearing you speaking. My question is, which is also in the minds of the students, is that with all the technology and artificial intelligence being used in the hospitality industry, do you foresee in the near future that this technology will overtake the human services?
No, this is good evening, sir. Thank you very much for the warm welcome. See, this is a question which has always been asked to hotels and the hotel managers for the last 25 years or so when I've been around. Would technology take over hospitality or personal touch? And so if I do not take the COVID in perspective, and because I'm sure it will change, the situation will not remain forever. Yes, so my specific answer to your question is both the things have to coexist. There would never be a time, even if you use technology, it would be used with a lot of thought, a lot of anticipation, a lot of personalization. It will make somebody's job or somebody's comfort in a hotel easy. But the idea is not to take the technology over the top. And so just to give you one small example, what would be all right in a Taj Bengal in terms of check-in process may not be expected and may not be advisable in a Rambagh Palace. So I don't think the customer going to a Rambagh Palace would really bother that he will be able to do a check-in on his phone and not doing and enter in the hotel in a buggy and taken to his room with 3 or 5 girls throwing petals at him and doing a Aarti Tikka garland and then singing songs, and then they take him to the room with a royal experience. So despite the fact that all the technology in the world may be available to a Rambagh Palace, I don't think they will adopt and they would like to compromise or trade off with that kind of experience and bringing in technology, So it would always be relevant to the kind of places and kind of businesses we are in.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your answer.
Thank you. Over to you, Ritu.
Great. Thank you so much. This was very, very interesting session. And I think all that you shared will give a lot of direction to our students, and everything has been on a very positive note. And I'm sure as far as tweaking our curriculum is concerned, which we do wish to tweak it, and that's what we always do, tweak it to meet the requirements of the industry. going along our association will help us tweak our curriculum to get our students better ready for the industry as we slowly open up, as the hotels open up. Thank you once so much. Thank you very, very much for your time, as well as sharing all your thoughts this evening with us.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gupta. Thank you for spending the lovely lockdown evening with us.
Any last words, the last thoughts that you'd like to share with our students who are here online with us?
Yes, I was about to say that. And that is, I wanted to congratulate all of you from the IIHM team, not only with the kind of initiatives you're doing in this, in this, as he said, Dr. Bose said, lockdown situation, but otherwise, I've been watching all the initiatives, including Sahas, and also the CSR activities of distribution of food that you and your volunteers and your people have been going into various areas and distributing those packets in a very, very challenging atmosphere where nobody wants to come out of their houses. You're not scared to not only come out, but to visit those underprivileged lot and in areas which are challenged. I think this is admirable. This is very, very great initiative and great leadership by Dr. Bose and everybody else. And I think I can't say, I have difficult to find any parallels to that, any institution doing things like that in this kind of a challenging atmosphere. So congratulations, many congratulations and kudos to all of you. Keep doing that great work which you're doing.
Thank you so much. Thank you. That's very inspirational for all of us in a team. And last final word to all our young students of the second year and the third years who are right here from Manish Gupta. Possibly that will be very inspiring for them before we part for this session. Some last final words for our students from you.
Keep working very hard. Don't lose any hope at all. At all. Absolutely, there is no reason to feel low. Just make sure that you use this time, as I said earlier, and keep moving. Study more, learn more, and keep moving. That's the only message I can give. All the very best to all these young people. Thank you very much for calling me.
Fantastic. That's fantastic. Thank you so much. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I look forward to see you in person at some time and have a coffee together in a Starbucks cup.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Dr. Bose.
Thank you.
Thank you very much once again for joining us. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining us and wish you all a very pleasant evening. And with this, we sign out of the IIHM Kolkata studio.
Thank you.
Thank you.